I'm Nicole Verley. It is Tuesday, September 14th. This is Rush Hour. Those top stories in just a moment. We do have News Nation reporters spread all across the country. And tonight, here's what else is happening. President Biden wrapping up a trip to Denver, touting his administration's plan to combat climate change. He just finished speaking at a renewable energy lab a short time ago. On the pandemic, as more people try to get religious exemptions to avoid those vaccine mandates, one Arkansas hospital taking things a step further, saying that if you don't want the shot, everything from aspirin to Pepto-Bismol is off limits as well. We'll take you there. Plus, the comedy world in mourning tonight. Saturday Night Live standout Norm Macdonald has died at just 61 years old. The health battle he kept private and how his fans and co-stars are remembering him tonight. But we begin in California, where the clock is ticking as voters decide whether to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. The California Democrat is only the fourth governor in U.S. history to face a recall effort. Now, that recall largely fueled by outrage over his handling of the pandemic. And both Democrats and Republicans are bracing for the nationwide implications at the polls on issues like those mask and vaccine mandates. News Nation correspondent Nancy Liu is live for us tonight. So, Nancy, you are outside a polling center in Los Angeles County. How is turnout there?
Well, Nicole, this is the final stretch. We do see people in line and also dropping off their ballots curbside here. It's been fairly steady for several hours. And despite some predictions that Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom will prevail, the leading Republican challenger, Larry Elder, believes it is hardly a done deal. Just hours until the polls close in California's second ever recall election, and the fate of Gavin Newsom is on the line. The big questions: will the governor keep his job, and what ripple effect will this race have on next year's midterms?
Are we going to defeat this recall?
Newsom made his last campaign stop this morning in San Francisco, and President Biden stumping for Newsom last night in Long Beach.
He's been one of the leading governors in the nation, protecting people and vaccinating his state.
California was the first state to shut down in March of last year, sparking fierce backlash from the outset. Soon after, Governor Newsom was spotted unmasked and dining with a large group at a Napa restaurant. That moment energized the recall movement and the 46 challengers Newsom now faces.
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
Feeling good, feeling optimistic.
Leading Republican challenger Larry Elder says he's unfazed by polls favoring Newsom.
Because they're scared to death. They know that I'm going to break that Jedi mind trick that Democrats have had over black and brown voters.
But even before the polls opened today, Elder was claiming voter fraud, and his campaign appears poised for a post-election fight over the results. Now, the polls are set to close in about 5 hours, and results are not expected until late tonight at the earliest. We are hearing that Governor Newsom has no public events planned and that he'll be watching returns privately in Sacramento. Larry Elder, we hear, has a so-called victory party planned in Costa Mesa at a hotel. Nicole?
All right, Nancy, thank you for that. We'll see what happens. Well, Tropical Storm Nicholas is now making its way to Louisiana after battering the shores of Texas with gusty winds and flooding. Now, you can see in video we're going to show you winds whipping trees and rain, even damaging homes. Someone's back patio fell apart from those gusty winds. And the system has knocked out power to 500,000 homes and businesses in Texas, is drenching Louisiana, bringing the potential for life-threatening flash floods across the Deep South. News Nation's Neil Zerang from our Lafayette station KLFY joining us with how first responders are preparing for water rescues, Neil.
Rain just started to let off here in Lafayette Parish, but we have first responders on standby. They got their LMTVs inside. They have kayaks and boards, also life vests and any sort of flotation devices for people to come out. They have two of these that are actually ex-military vehicles, and if you want to come out your car, we'll show them. They've also got these Humvees that allow them to go into really deep water. This vehicle can handle water about here. If you want to show your car, they've got lots of sheriff's officers over by the door. They're all 31 waiting on standby. Other departments inside Lafayette are gearing up. They have equipment. This Humvee is able to take on a lot of water. This one back here actually has an air exhaust that allows it to get water all the way up to here above where heads would normally be for the drivers, but they're making sure that they're able to get out on any flooded roadways. If people do try to risk getting across water, they're encouraging people not to do it, but they say they're going to put their lives on the line because that's what they signed up for. Reporting in Lafayette, Neil Zerang, back to you.
All right, Neil, thank you for that. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Albert Ramon. He is live for us tonight in the Weather Center. So, Albert, what are the latest developments from the Gulf?
Well, it's a weakening tropical storm, but it's inland, Nicole, and it's still producing a flash flood threat tonight, tomorrow, and probably even lingering into Thursday. I want to show you this map first. This shows you all of the landfalling tropical storms and hurricanes from not just last hurricane season, but so far this season. In total, 19, 8 of which have made landfall in the United States, continental United States, so far this season. The latest, you talked about it, Nicholas, about 12:30 a.m. Central Time to the south of Galveston. So let me get you updated on the satellite and radar composite. 40-mile-per-hour sustained winds. The center of circulation right over Galveston Island. But look at where all the rain is. It's displaced from the center. It's back off towards the east of the center. Heavy rainfall coming off the Gulf of Mexico. And I think it's Louisiana tonight, tomorrow, into tomorrow night that will be under the gun for flash flooding. That's why a flash flood watch in effect for much of the central Gulf Coast, with the potential for half a foot, if not more, of rainfall just in the next few days as this slow-moving tropical low moves off to the east now towards the end of the work week. Something we'll keep an eye on, Nicole, all week long. Back to you.
All right, Albert, thank you for that. Well, let's switch now to the latest in Afghanistan. Today, the Taliban's new foreign minister holding a news conference saying the Taliban will not allow militants to use their land to plan attacks on foreign countries like they've done in the past. But when pressed about whether this new Taliban would allow women or religious and ethnic minorities in government, he would not give a definitive answer. Now, across the globe, governments are saying they will not recognize the Taliban as official rulers until they become more inclusive. Meanwhile, here in the U.S., one of the 13 service members killed in Afghanistan last month was laid to rest in his hometown. People in Logansport, Indiana, lined the streets to honor Marine Corporal Humberto Sanchez. And as the U.S. anticipates about 50,000 Afghan refugees will be entering the country, we're learning about new measles cases popping up, 5 in Virginia, 1 is in Wisconsin. So now those refugee flights are paused. All this as Secretary of State Antony Blinken faced day 2 of tough words from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee regarding how the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan. And News Nation's Raquel Martin joining us live in the nation's capital with the very latest. So, Raquel, today we learned about some new intelligence that al-Qaeda could threaten our nation within 1 or 2 years.
That's right. That's what the Defense Intelligence Agency is reporting. And this is exactly what Republicans said they were concerned about when it came to the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan. Today, they did not pull any punches as they questioned Secretary of State Blinken. However, he, of course, defended the administration's strategy and pushed back against criticism.
There is not enough lipstick in the world to put on this pig to make it look any different.
Tuesday, both Republican and Democrat senators told Secretary of State Antony Blinken the Biden administration did not do enough to ensure a smooth exit from Afghanistan.
Clearly and fatally flawed.
Democratic Senator Bob Menendez says the administration should have worked faster to get Americans and eligible Afghans out of harm's way.
The American public deserves answers. And the Afghan people certainly deserve answers.
Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman says the chaotic withdrawal hurt America's standing in the world.
If you're talking honestly to our adversaries, they will certainly say it's a sign of weakness.
Portman says he's now concerned Afghanistan will again become a safe haven for terrorists.
We want to make sure that we have in place the ability to detect any reemergence of that threat and to be able to do something about it if it does reemerge.
Is the Haqqani network considered a terrorist group?
It is.
Is it true that the Interior Minister is a leader of the Haqqani network?
That is accurate.
In the end, Secretary Blinken says President Biden did the best with the cards he was dealt.
He inherited an agreement that his predecessor had reached with the Taliban.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy agrees.
I think the expectations that Republicans have created that we could have conducted this evacuation without confusion is unrealistic.
Today, we learned that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was also invited to testify, but declined. The chairman of the committee says if he continues to not comply, he could be subpoenaed. Nicole.
All right, Raquel, thank you for that. Now let's give you a live look at the nation's capital. Today, the Department of Justice announced a new policy banning the use of chokeholds and no-knock entries by federal law enforcement officers unless force is authorized. NewsNation White House correspondent Allison Harris live for us tonight. So, Allison, how and when will this federal ban be implemented?
Well, Nicole, the Justice Department is now banning chokeholds for federal law enforcement, and they're also putting limits on federal no-knock warrants. The DOJ saying that it has an obligation to lead by example. At least 17 states have already banned chokeholds. The new policy for no-knock warrants requires officers serving a federal warrant to get approval from supervisors and a federal prosecutor if they're planning a no-knock entry. I spoke with the legislative chairman for the Fraternal Order of Police. He believes that this new policy is much more limiting and will lead to more accountability, as well as states adopting similar policies, saying that the U.S. needs more uniformity in police practices. But civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, who represents the family of Ahmaud Arbery and has served as counsel for George Floyd's family, says this is the least that the Biden administration can do in terms of police reform. Merritt and other civil rights activists are calling for the Justice Department to end qualified immunity, which protects officers from being personally sued, among taking further action. Merritt saying that he sees today's move by the Justice Department as more performative than impactful.
This is 100% performative. And, like I said, it's a kick in the chest for people who are looking for real change to come from the administration. I don't want anyone to get the idea that they should be slapping themselves on the back due to this change in policy that doesn't make anyone safer or improve policing in any meaningful way.
Now, almost all of the state bans on police chokeholds have come after the death of George Floyd in May 2020. Today, 4 former Minneapolis police officers were charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights, pleaded not guilty to those federal charges. George Floyd's convicted murderer, former officer Derek Chauvin, among them. They are all charged with depriving Floyd of his rights when they failed to provide him with medical care. Nicole?
All right, Allison, thank you for that. All right, now let's head to the southern border, where the White House is restarting an Obama-era program that allows some children to come to the U.S. legally. This summer has seen a record number of unaccompanied minors at the border, with scenes like this, children being dropped over a wall onto U.S. soil. NewsNation correspondent Marky Martin is live for us tonight in Dallas. So, Marky, do we know that applications being accepted for this starting today, right?
They are. Nicole, as of this morning, the final phase of this program has been revived after it was dismantled under the Trump administration. And the Biden administration really selling this as the safest, most humane way to reunite parents and guardians with their children still living in Central America. The Biden administration announcing this week that the Central American Minors Initiative is fully reinstated. The Obama-era program allows certain families to be reunited. Here are the rules. Parents must be living lawfully in the United States. Then the children have to be unmarried, under 21, and living in one of 3 countries: Guatemala, Honduras, or El Salvador.
Send a message that coming into U.S. or trying to come into U.S. through irregular means is only going to hurt their chances of coming in later on.
Naeem Haroun Sakia is an immigration attorney.
We want to make sure that they come through regular immigration channels rather than irregular immigration, because when that happens, we lose control. We don't know who is coming, what they're bringing in, what kind of background they have. There's no vetting.
The White House saying it's the best way to keep children from making the treacherous migration alone. A joint statement from the Department of State and Homeland Security reads this: "We are firmly committed to welcoming people to the United States with humanity and respect and reuniting families." The program was terminated under the Trump administration as part of the former president's executive orders aimed at tightening immigration controls. And also wanted to add, too, this CAM program has been extended to include not just parents, but legal guardians as well. And lastly, Nicole, very important to note that any child who's applying for this, they have to be living in Central America. They can't have made the journey and apply for this in Mexico or even in the United States. They have to be in Central America or else they won't get accepted to the program. Nicole.
All right, so they have to be from Central America. Those applications starting to be accepted today. Do we have any idea how many families this could impact?
So it's really impossible to know concretely, right, how many families this will impact. But a lot of immigration experts coming forward and saying this has the potential to impact tens of thousands of families. And just for numerical reference, you know, the month of July is the last month we have full migration statistics. In that month alone, almost 19,000 unaccompanied children were taken into custody by U.S. officials. Almost 83% of those children were from one of the 3 Central American countries that are included in this very program. Nicole.
Yeah, this can make a difference for so many families. All right, Marky, thank you. Turning now to the latest on the pandemic, the U.S. Army setting a deadline for when all service members must be fully vaccinated against COVID. Active duty troops have until December 15th. That's just about 3 months to get the shots, while Reserve and National Guard units have until June of next year. Now, elsewhere, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis doubling down on his push against vaccine mandates, vowing to fine any local governments or government agencies requiring their employees to be vaccinated. He signed an executive order in May, which bans businesses and local governments from requiring proof of vaccination, but does not prohibit governments from mandating the vaccine. And we may have our first COVID outbreak of the new NFL season. ESPN reporting the New Orleans Saints have had 8 members of the organization test positive. That includes 1 player. Over the summer, Saints coach Sean Payton said the entire team was fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, ESPN also reporting NBA players will not be required to be vaccinated, although NBA refs and most team personnel are required to get the vaccine. Now, COVID guidelines at public universities in Georgia can be described as lax by some, and faculty members across the state not happy about it, which is why some are now staging protests. News Nation's Janelle Fort live for us tonight on the campus of Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So, Janelle, those protests happening all over Georgia. What is it that the professors are asking for?
Well, Nicole, they're calling on the University of Georgia system to enact stricter COVID-19 policies. Specifically, they're asking for mask mandates at all state-funded universities. These are week-long protests that are happening at least 17 colleges across the state. It's being sponsored by Georgia's chapter of the American Association of University Professors. This is a look at one of those protests from earlier today, this one specifically from the University of Georgia in Athens. And you can see there's about a couple dozen people out there that showed up in support. There's also a small counter protest that came out. And the university system, they told instructors that they can't require students to wear masks. They can only suggest it. And it's really adding to some of what we're seeing across the country. Frustrated college faculty reaching a breaking point, furious about being forced to teach in-person classes on campuses where COVID-19 policies are either not being enforced or are non-existent. This is a state, Georgia that is, where less than 50% of the state is vaccinated. The hospital systems here reaching a breaking point, many of them operating at or above capacity, being stretched thin. And some faculty say at this point, they're fed up.
It's embarrassing that our campuses are not following the CDC recommendations, are not following best practices that other universities are doing. And, it's not the type of leadership that we want to be showing.
I think it's fair of them to ask, and they're putting their lives and families at risk. And I think that wearing a mask isn't a hard thing to do.
I don't think they should be mandated at all. If you don't want to wear it, you shouldn't have to wear it.
And you heard there, students, on the other hand, those two from here at Georgia Tech are pretty split on this, Nicole. And again, these protests are scheduled to last through the end of the week.
All right, Janelle, thank you for that. So talking about masks there, but when it comes to the COVID vaccine, healthcare workers in many states are seeking exemptions. In New York, today, a federal judge blocked the state from forcing medical workers to get the shot. A lawsuit claims their rights are violated with a mandate that does not allow those exemptions. Meantime, in Arkansas, a hospital is allowing staff to seek religious exemption with a caveat. News Nation's Jay Burr with our Little Rock station KARK is outside Conway Regional with those details.
Conway Regional has gotten more religious exemption requests than normal for their requirements to work. So they have a form now for people to attest to that strongly held belief.
We require the flu vaccine to work here. With the COVID vaccine, we saw a dramatic increase in the number of exemption requests related to this fetal cell issue.
President and CEO Matt Troop says having a strongly held belief and the attestation should not be mutually exclusive.
We feel that if you've requested an exemption, then attesting to that form really should follow.
He says some could be legit beliefs, but if people don't want to sign off on their form, then that may not be the issue.
A lot of this, I believe, is a hesitancy about the vaccine. And so that's a separate issue than a religious exemption.
The form, which has made the rounds on social media, mentions the vaccine went through the same process as many typical medications such as ibuprofen, antacids, and over-the-counter cold medications.
We really have no interest and no intent of being disrespectful here. That's not what this is about. This is a lightning rod issue, and we have no interest in trying to incite more anger and frustration.
Troop says if someone has those beliefs, and they are truly beliefs that are strongly held, there should be no issue. And he hopes some of the staff are more educated about that potential decision.
That attestation was the right choice, and it helps to clarify with staff that are requesting that exemption exactly what they're committing to.
All right, that was Jay Burr reporting. We do want to add that currently 95% of Conway Regional staff are at least partially vaccinated. All right, we're going to switch gears now, and Broadway is back in New York City. The Great White Way, one of the first to shut down because of the pandemic. After going dark for nearly 18 months, stages are lighting up once again for 4 of Broadway's biggest shows starting tonight. NewsNation's Tom Negovan live in the New York Theater District. So, Tom, what does this mean for New York City?
Big day and night for the economy here, for theater fans, Nicole, and for about 100,000 workers who rely on this industry. All 41 Broadway theaters are now allowed to reopen at full capacity, but with safety protocols in place. All staff and performers need to be fully vaccinated. Audience members need to mask up no matter what their vaccination status is. We found long lines for tickets here today. Visitors from all over the country, from as far off as Israel. The star of Waitress even joining the city's mayor on his daily press conference this morning.
It's in our heart and soul. It's also so much of what people do to make a living in this town.
I feel so lucky to be here, and this, like you said, is just a magic day for the entire theater community.
I think New York City is a really safe place to visit. I think there's, in terms of COVID, there are all sorts of protocols in place. The city is opening up, and, going to the theater is a magical experience.
Keep hearing that expression today, a magical experience, but that's what it is. It's also a very profitable one, Nicole. Just to give you a sense of what a big day this is for the city and for the local economy, how much it means to New York. Before the pandemic, nearly 250,000 people saw a Broadway show every week. That is a $15 billion with a B boost to the New York City economy. Big deal.
A very big deal. And Tom, I do have to say, with NewsNation headquarters here in Chicago, we are loving that backdrop there. Thank you for that. Still ahead tonight on Rush Hour, the search continues tonight for Gabby Petito. The 22-year-old vanished on that cross-country trip with her boyfriend. He's still not talking, but now the FBI is involved. News Nation speaking one-on-one with Gabby's mother. That's coming up. And 2 police canine officers recovering after they were both shot. It happened during a chase with an armed suspect. How those dogs are doing tonight, and what we know about what led up to that terrifying moment. And comedian Norm Macdonald dead at the age of just 61. People around the world expressing their shock and dismay. How the Saturday Night Live standout is being remembered tonight. New tonight, 2 Florida canine officers are recovering after being shot in the line of duty. They were trying to sniff out an armed thief. The whole thing caught on camera. News Nation's Felicia Bolton is live with us tonight. So, Felicia, this is some dramatic video.
Yeah, the video is dramatic, and the hunt for that suspect lasted hours, and it ended with a shooting, sending both that man and the dogs to the hospital. But I do have to warn our viewers, it might be hard to watch.
I'm leaf driver. So he put me the weapon here.
It starts off as a search for an armed carjacking suspect accused of holding his Lyft driver at gunpoint. Volusia Sheriff's deputies then use their canines to sniff out the possible thief. As they get closer, the unthinkable.
Here!
K-9 axe is shot in the face. Deputies say the suspect then went deeper into the woods.
You're all right, buddy.
I'm reading on tactics, but
We're gonna get that bad man.
With sirens blaring, his partner rushes axe to the vet for emergency treatment.
Yeah, you're a good boy. That's all right, Axe. I'm right here, buddy.
Back on the scene, the suspect makes his way out of the woods. Then an exchange of gunfire. Deputies shoot the suspect multiple times. K-9 Endo is shot during the exchange. 21-year-old Shadrick Singleton Jr. is arrested on the scene, then rushed to Central Florida Regional Hospital in Sanford with life-threatening injuries.
There is no doubt that K-9 Axe and K-9 Endo took bullets that were meant for my deputies.
After multiple surgeries, both dogs are back on their feet.
And the suspect faces charges for armed carjacking and use of deadly weapon against a police K-9. He is still in the hospital in critical condition tonight. And by the way, one of the dogs, already a hero, honored with a Medal of Valor and a Purple Heart after being shot in the line of duty back in 2015, Nicole.
Yeah, those K-9 officers play an important role.
They are
Alicia.
loyal.
They are. Thank you for that. Still ahead tonight on Rush Hour, the search expanding tonight for a woman who vanished while on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé. He's not talking, but her mother is, speaking one-on-one with News Nation. And a new twist in the ongoing Free Britney saga. The pop star's Instagram page abruptly deactivated. What she's saying in the past half hour about that surprise decision. Welcome back to Rush Hour. Here's what's happening in your nation right now. Louisiana bracing for Tropical Storm Nicholas after the storm battered Texas with gusty winds and heavy rainfall. That system has already knocked out power to 500,000 homes and businesses in Texas, drenching parts of Louisiana, bringing the potential for life-threatening flash floods just weeks after Hurricane Ida hit the state. And California polls are open today in the state's recall election for Governor Gavin Newsom. The most recent polling shows Newsom holding on to his job, though Republican challenger Larry Elder is confident about his prospects, even opting to hold a victory party to watch the results come in. Polls close at 8 p.m. local time. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken facing bipartisan criticism for the U.S. exit from Afghanistan during a Senate hearing today. Blinken used his opening remarks to blame some of the issues the U.S. experienced on others, adding that the Biden administration did what it could. He specifically called out the Trump administration for making a deal with the Taliban that he said put the group in position to take over the country. Well, Broadway is back. 4 of the biggest shows return to full capacity tonight for the first time since the pandemic started. There are new safety protocols in place. For example, everyone in the theater, including performers and staff, must be fully vaccinated, and audience members do have to mask up regardless of vaccination status. All right, let's head to Florida now, where the family of a missing 22-year-old is hopeful she'll be found safe. Gabby Petito has not been seen in 2 weeks. Now, she recently went on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, but she never returned. And now her family has filed a missing persons report. News Nation's Brian Inton is live tonight from her hometown of Northport, Florida. So, Brian, where is her boyfriend in all of this?
Well, Nicole, that's one of the big questions tonight. Where is the boyfriend? We're outside the boyfriend's parents right now, just outside Tampa. Take a look. We know the parents are inside, but they haven't come out, and they are not talking to anyone. The neighbors say the van that the couple was in was right here in the driveway, but police showed up overnight and towed it away. 22-year-old Gabby Petito was on a cross-country road trip in a van with her boyfriend.
Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga.
The trip documented on social media until Gabby vanished somewhere near the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. The last text to her family was August 30th. They got worried when they didn't hear from her again.
It was like day 8 and 9 that I really became concerned and figured she couldn't be off the grid for that long.
The van the couple was in was last seen here in Northport, Florida, at Gabby's boyfriend's parents' house. Police towed the van away to be processed by the FBI and say Gabby's boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, is not talking.
I think most people would think that this individual might have some details as far as the last time he saw her, the last whereabouts. Yeah, I think it has not been helpful that we have not been able to talk to him.
No one answered the door, but the attorney for Brian Laundrie's family released a statement today saying, on behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Ms. Petito is successful and that Ms. Petito is reunited with her family. On the advice of counsel, the Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment.
As a mom, I had concerns for my daughter going on a road trip in general, but I felt safe. They were together, they had a plan, they had an itinerary.
And it's important to point out that the boyfriend right now is not a suspect. Police say he's not a person of interest, but they want to talk to him, and they say he will not talk to detectives, and his parents, who are in the house behind me, are also not talking to detectives right now. Nicole?
All right, well, Brian, that's what I wanted to ask you. So have police named any persons of interest? They're not naming the boyfriend.
It's interesting. They're being very, very tight-lipped. They're not telling us all of those kinds of details, but they are on the case. Not only the local police here in Florida, but the FBI also investigating. And we know there have been detectives out here. We've seen them throughout the day going to the different neighbors, asking them if they know anything.
All right, Brian, excellent reporting as always. We know you'll keep an eye on this. Well, make sure to watch Banfield tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central. Gabby Petito's father talks to Ashley about his missing daughter. Still to come tonight on Rush Hour, our first look at the new lineup of iPhones, Apple's annual unveiling event. What's new with this year's models? And what about that big security flaw Apple warned us about yesterday? And later, where did Britney's Instagram go? The pop star's account mysteriously deactivated. What she posted just before the page went dark. The trial continues for Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes. She is facing several counts of fraud related to her failed biotech company. Holmes is accused of misleading investors with her blood testing technology, swindling them out of millions of dollars. NewsNation's Amy Larson from our San Francisco station KRON has the details on day 2 of this trial.
It's only day 2 of the Elizabeth Holmes criminal fraud trial, and the court has already had to dig into its alternate jurors. Today, a female juror was dismissed, and she was replaced by a male juror. Legal experts told me that this is out of the favor of Holmes because female jurors are more likely to identify with Holmes. Holmes' defense team is expected to try to pin the blame on Sunny Balwani. He's Holmes' ex-boyfriend and Theranos COO. In court documents, her lawyers accuse Balwani of controlling, manipulating, and abusing her.
In this case, it looks like they're going to, so-called, she's a victim. She was 19. She was a young woman when she started this company. She had an older, mentor who funded quite a bit of this. Turned out to be her boyfriend. It's questions of whether or not he was too controlling or possibly abusive towards her.
A tense moment happened in court this morning when the judge warned the gallery against trying to sway the jury in any way. The judge said he was concerned that one trial observer shouted, "Don't forget the Me Too movement," when jurors were entering the courthouse. Today we heard more testimony from Theranos' financial manager, Sohan Spivey. She testified that Theranos was hemorrhaging money at a time that Holmes was wooing investors.
She may have a noble intention of trying to, innovate the healthcare industry, great. But when you know that the product's not working, you have a duty to disclose that.
Holmes faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted of the federal fraud and conspiracy charges against her. Back to you, Nicole.
All right, Amy, thank you. Well, Apple held its biggest event of the year today, the annual iPhone press conference. But this year, the iPhone, not the star of the show. Here to explain, host of the Drill Down podcast, Corey Johnson. Corey, thanks for being with us tonight. So this event started with an Apple TV Plus announcement. So does this mean Apple is shifting its priorities away from the iPhone?
Certainly not. iPhone is everything for Apple. It's 50% of the revenues. It's likely more of the profits. It's also the thing that drives the other profits. So it's actually quite common for Apple to begin its product announcements showing off the other products that people might care about, they might not care about at all, But really, the iPhone is at the center of the universe for this company. They did about half the revenues last year, so call it $1.2 trillion worth of sales for the iPhone. It is the most important device for them. We also know they've asked their manufacturers to manufacture more iPhones next year, so they expect a lot of success with the products they announced today.
All right, so definitely saving the best for last here. So longer battery life, one of the features of the new iPhone. What else is new with this new iPhone 13?
Not a lot. So I think that's one of the most interesting things here, right, is that they come out with these big product announcements, or at least they want us to think that it's a big product announcement. And to be fair, it's the most successful consumer product in the history of mankind. And yet, it's not that different than the last phone. It's got better battery, supposedly, better pictures. But for this company, it's so important for them to continue to offer slight tweaks and slight upgrades to try to get people to want to upgrade. But what we've seen over time is that there's longer and longer time periods going between people upgrading phones than there were even 5 years ago or so, which is an issue for this company, which is why they're putting a focus on other kinds of things like services, like music, like their TV products. It's not the center of the company. The center of the company is always the iPhone, but they want to try to derive revenues from other products because the iPhone revenues aren't growing like they did. Look, going from 0 to 1, that's the biggest change they ever could make ever since even iPhone 13 won't be such a big deal.
All right, Corey, very hard to impress you as always. We love it. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. All right, well, coming up next, the world paying tribute, remembering comedian Norm Macdonald, who died today at the age of 61. What we know about his lengthy health battle that kept him out of the public eye. And what's behind Britney Spears' Instagram page being abruptly taken down? We are breaking down the latest entertainment headlines.
Hi, I'm Norm Macdonald, and this is the news. Christy Brinkley told reporters this week that her marriage to Billy Joel was over long before their divorce. The key moment, she said, came when she realized that she was Christy Brinkley and that she was married to Billy Joel.
Oh, such a funny guy. Saturday Night Live comedian Norm Macdonald has died at the age of 61 after a 9-year private battle with colon cancer. Macdonald, very well known for his Weekend Update segments on SNL. NewsNation's entertainment reporter Doug Kolk from our Los Angeles station KTLA joining us live. So, Doug, lots of people stunned by today's news. Tell us about Macdonald's career.
Nicole, you just playing that clip, I mean, his dry humor was just one of a kind. I mean, Norm was the quintessential funny man, and it was his snarky one-liners, his monotone delivery that made him, in my opinion, one of the greatest comedians of our generation. He really made a name for himself on Saturday Night Live. It was back in '93 when he premiered. He had impressions of guys like Bob Dole, David Letterman, Larry King. They were very memorable, but I think it was his time as host of Weekend Update when people really started to take notice of Norm Macdonald. And then, of course, he did have a career on the big screen, starring in films opposite his Saturday Night Live friends like Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider, films like Billy Madison, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, Grown Ups. What's really remarkable here is that Norm apparently battled cancer for 9 years, and Nicole, nobody knew this. He just kept it quiet, and he died today at 61.
Yeah, such a shock for so many people. All right, Doug, so we're going to switch gears a bit here and talk Britney Spears. Late this afternoon, her Instagram account was deactivated, so we know she was just newly engaged. What do we know about this deactivation?
Well, so the funny thing is she deactivates her Instagram account, but then goes on Twitter to announce that she deactivates her Instagram account. That's at least what she said. She tweeted about 1 hour ago. She says, "Don't worry, folks. I'm just taking a little break from social media to celebrate my engagement, and I'll be back soon." Now, the news, of course, comes after she deactivated her Instagram account, which was 2 days after she announced her engagement. But her people are absolutely adamant that this is 100% her decision. She has complete control over her social media accounts. And of course, her social media has been the focal point of late, especially during the battle for her conservativeship, with fans speculating that certain posts may be cries for help. But her team confirms that she is in a great place, and by taking a break, this is sending a powerful message, Nicole.
All right, well, we certainly wish her the best. All right, Doug, thank you so much. The Donlin Report starts at the top of the hour. Joe is in the studio. Joe, what are you working on?
Hi, Nicole. Tonight on the Donlin Report, the new report about Facebook and how the social media giant knew its Instagram platform was toxic for teenage girls. I'll ask a top influencer about this troubling trend. Also, new allegations from the latest book on former President Trump, how his top general went behind his back to what he said was to avoid a nuclear catastrophe. That much more at the top of the hour. Nicole, back to you.
All right, Joe, thank you. Another check on top stories making headlines around your nation coming up, including this, a new lawsuit that could land some money in your pocket. Listen to this. If you bought chicken over the last decade. Your nation right now. The ATF says Los Angeles police miscalculated the amount of fireworks they placed into a container before detonating them, causing a massive explosion in a neighborhood back in June. Federal investigators say the police overloaded the container with more explosives than it could handle. That explosion injured 17 people, including police officers and a federal agent, as well as destroyed homes, cars, and businesses. The Justice Department has launched a civil rights investigation into Georgia's prison system. Officials say they're concerned about reports of prisoner-on-prisoner violence. They're also planning to look into sexual abuse of gay, lesbian, and transgender prisoners by both staff and fellow inmates. And we told you about this. If you bought any chicken over the past decade, you could be eligible to get money from a $181 million settlement. Prosecutors allege several corporations like Tyson Foods, Fieldale Farms, George's, and others conspired to stabilize the price and supply of chicken, which is in violation of federal and state consumer antitrust laws. The settlements do need to be approved before any money is paid. As always, we like to leave you with a smile when we can. Tonight's comes courtesy of a Louisiana veteran.
Happy birthday, Mr. Brooks.
We are sending a happy birthday to Mr. Lawrence Brooks. He is the oldest living World War II veteran in the U.S., just turned 112 years old, served as a private in the Army's mostly black 91st Engineer Battalion. Happy birthday, Mr. Brooks. Thank you for your service. That is all for Rush Hour tonight. The Donlin Report is next. Have a great night.